I stand by this. Like, it's a good time to get into podcasting, possibly the best ever. To get into podcasting and stick with podcasting, I should say. Not to be one of the people that pod fade, which is the majority of it. But when I look at that pod fade level, which means like stop or fail your show prematurely, that's still happening at a really high rate. And that concerns me a little bit. And it's because people get in with the wrong intentions. So we need good creators coming into the space. And we do see that happening. But a lot of them kind of get their minds a little bit poisoned. And I don't mean this in like a conspiracy theory or like mean way, but like
Sure.
the rise of YouTube is happening right now, where it's like, hey, if your podcast isn't on YouTube, it's not going to make it. And YouTube's reporting all these numbers on how popular podcasts are on YouTube. Here's the thing. They are very loose with what is defined as a podcast. A podcast simply means a show that releases regular videos. So it's like, okay, well, there's also, I think 100 times the amount of YouTube channels is podcast in total. And they're counting all those as podcasts. So now they're the biggest podcast player platform. Like that, it's not the same thing. So people are getting in their head, okay, I got to really have a YouTube channel. The problem with YouTube, and again, not going to get into conspiracy stuff, but somebody controls that content. And you don't truly have an independent voice on there. You have it if it's in tune with what you're allowed to post. Let's put it that way. Other than that, it's never going to get seen. And I ran a really big blog, faith-driven, and I remember at one point seeing a very substantial kind of fishy drop-off, right? And it's because that was no longer what was allowed to be seen by the general public. So you got to keep that in mind. YouTube wants you to believe, hey, we're the end-all, be-all, you have to be here, because they want to control your voice. And again, I don't mean to get into conspiracy stuff, but the other thing is the big networks. They're saying, hey, get with this big network, grow your show to be really huge, we're going to make you rich. Same thing. What they're doing is they're making the shows exclusive to one platform that they control. And they're saying, hey, we've seen it happen to some big names like Joe Rogan, where they're like, hey, we're going to get rid of these 10 episodes because we own you now, right? So we don't like this and you can't talk about it anymore. And the last thing is we talked about advertisers, but some advertisers have some rules. Hey, we'll pay you, and we'll pay you a little better if you never mention X, Y, or Z. And again, those type of things make me a little bit concerned about the future of podcasting. We have to protect how individually powerful it is without getting into what I just call the vanity metrics and diving into like, oh, but I could be part of this or part of that. No, you could be part of what you're doing to move the world in your own unique way by serving the one person who needs you most. And I think that that's the future power of podcasting. We're seeing it get more and more accessible. We're seeing it more and more available to people. It's maintaining that true voice inside of podcasting that's going to make that continuously powerful.